Okay, welcome back to part 4. And this should be the last part of the reason that I was meant to attend the 1-year anniversary, Angelversary, of the tragic death of Mark and Jacob Iskander yesterday. So, where I ended in part 3 was I became the director of the little memorial garden area, and I just, made it look so pretty and so inviting, and, something that would foster reflection in a loving, beautiful sort of way. And so I kept coming back, like not necessarily to that part, but there was, like a bench that you could sort of see it. And so, I could sort of just like observe without being right, in the immediate space. And there was I was going through different kinds of emotions, because obviously I was there, for a very sad situation. And so while I was there, I could hear children laughing in the background, and, I could see adults, walking by, doing, their job, or their, it's a school and a church, and so they have agendas and, things that they have to get done and whatever. And I guess there was a part of me that was almost hoping, I'd almost hoped and wished that there was more attention, and obviously it was supposed to, there was a service at 6, open, and so maybe everybody was planning on coming later, and that could be, but I don't know, there was just, I guess there was a part of me that was hoping that there would be more children there, and I don't know, it's almost like, how can the world keep going, and when we're remembering this tragic day, and that's just me, that's the limited consciousness of me, that I felt like that on 9/11 too, I felt like, why are more people not talking about it and honoring it and meditating on it, and really, that's just me, Anyways, so I was sitting there on the bench, and it was this nice sort of clay brick walkway that they have there, patio, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be here for a while. Let's get the full sensory effect. And so I thought, you know what, it'd be nice to take my shoes off and just feel the coolness of the brick. And so I took my shoes off. I was sitting there on the bench, and I started walking around, and it's just that connection, that earth connection, that body earth connection, that I don't engage in very often, that I should, and it's so good for us. And so while I was walking around, just in that little space, I saw that there was, on the other side of the gate, which was not that far away from me, there was a class that was beginning to line up. And so they were inside their gated area and looked like they were about to come out. And so I thought, oh, okay, this is interesting. And, at this time it's probably like around 2:40-ish, maybe somewhere around 2:40. And so I went back on the bench, and which was, you could still see the Memorial Garden area. There's like bushes, that on like 3/4 of the sides, and then there's that wall. And so I could still see it, it wasn't that far away from it, but I could allow, because there was a part of me that I didn't know what was coming next. And so I sat there, and I just sort of like, watched as the teacher got her kids in line. And in fact, there was one time I almost thought one of the boys resembled the older boy, Mark. And I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know the family at all. This isn't even my neighborhood. And so for me to really think I was just like, oh my God, am I seeing him, But it turns out just to be a boy that resembled him. But, you just never know what's going to happen. I always want to be open for anything. And so I sat there for, probably a good 5 minutes or something, not sure what was going to happen next. And so I noticed that the teacher was talking to them. I couldn't really hear what she was saying, but the way she was kind of instructing them made me think, oh my goodness, I wonder if they're going to come to the Memorial Garden. Because, there was a part of me that while I was there earlier, I just don't know how much, we talk to our children about death. And, I know that it's like super scary, and, their brains aren't, mature to be able to comprehend, that here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. And so it could, if it's not done properly, obviously you can create a whole lot of fear. And so there's this, precarious kind of, if you're going to venture into that conversation, obviously you've got to do it, with clarity and understanding, how much children can hold and how much they'll be able to understand and take away with it in a way that doesn't induce fear, but also like honors the mystery of that this happens, whether most kids, it's their pets, or their grandparents that, the pets are something different, because their pets are an everyday sort of something. So there really is an immediate loss, but grandparents, you don't really know them that well mostly. And so it's kind of, okay, well, they were a little bit on my peripheral anyway, so that doesn't seem to really affect my stability, walking forward. But children, the idea of knowing other children that have not only died, but so quickly and suddenly, and that really will hit you as that you can't get any closer to home than that. And so I guess there was a part of me that was hoping that the school was going to be talking with the children about that, and obviously honoring those two boys that they knew. But I didn't see that in the time that I was there. So it may have happened earlier, before I got there noon. I don't know what the nature of it was. But what I did realize was when I recognized that, oh my gosh, I think she's bringing them to the Memorial Garden. Because it was just a short walk from the gate, inside the gate. And when I realized that's where they were heading, I was so happy. Because I had created this really awesome space, based on, the things that other people had brought and rearranging and, all this kind of stuff, plus the things that I had brought, I had created something that felt almost fun, something that it made you feel good. And that was going to be, when that whole class came into this small courtyard space, they were going to be focusing on, and like immediately they were going to be focusing on the visuals, but then also aligning their memories with that, and so the idea that it was going to be a positive one, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I was able to do that. And as I was listening, I couldn't hear because the teacher was talking softly, and there was, a hedge of bushes between me, and I was a little bit further back, but I could tell the way she was talking to them, slowly and softly. I could tell this was something really good. Like this was, she was bridging that intellectual, emotional kind of gap in the way that they would be able to comprehend. And as I was I was getting a sense, I realized that these were older children. Anyways, so what was, before I jump into that, this was something that was important that I forgot to mention. So I had this light inside that I had turned on shortly before they arrived, because I didn't, it was so bright in that area, I didn't want to wear out the battery. And so I didn't have the light on because the sunlight was coming through, and it was like, cascading through the cracked crystal ball, and you could see it, and it was really cool. But at, around when I turned this on, like around 2:30 or so, it was getting to be darker in that area. And so I turned this on, this colored, inside the jar. And so I'll post pictures of what it all looked like. I guess maybe another video or something. Just so you can see the visual. But the changing lights, it filters, besides coming out of the glass jar, it filters through some of those cracks in the crystal ball. So it's sort of like this mesmerizing color kind of show, that slowly comes in, slowly comes down, out. A new color, like this sort of like just ebb and flow of fascination. And so there's movement, there's color movement. So it's like this interactive kind, this interactive, display that, especially for children, is it's that creates that sort of wonderment. And I was just so excited, and I noticed that there was this girl with long blonde hair. I could see it's almost like she was fixated on this crystal ball, and the teacher was talking, but she just kept like, I could see her, and she would get down deeper and was looking at it, and and she'd come up, and then I'd see she'd go back down, and I was just, that made me happy. because when you tie in, the book that's there, The Magical Child, you see the, the title, and then you have this kind of magic that's coming through it. And then you've got, the rainbow water, with the flowers, it's right above them. It's almost like this backdrop of like, wow, this feels like magic. This feels like, because when light comes through water, especially colored water, it's like it this is why in my infinity chamber, I have water in here too, because water is another veil, glass and water and prisms and crystal, and this is the interdimensional kind of veil, these things are, and when you align with it, that's how you are able to transcend. And while I was watching this group, this class of, gosh, I don't know how many kids there were, maybe 20 or something, and the teacher, all of a sudden, oh my God, I knew the light just came on. So this is what you've been waiting for. The light came on, and I knew why I was there. And I also knew what I had to do. I knew the price I had to pay in order to bring this grand vision together. So I got up off my bench and I walked barefoot to the opening of that little courtyard. And as I was approaching the little entrance, the teacher was wrapping up what she was saying. And she had said that the family was not going to be there for the service that they were going to be having at 6 o'clock, that they were out of town, and that they would collect all the flowers and give it to them. And so that was interesting information for me to hear too, because I was there also to help, like to give any kind of energy that I felt like I needed to, to help the family, And so by hearing that they weren't going to be coming, I thought, oh, okay, I don't have to stay. And that wasn't why I was supposed to be there anyways. So that was good to know. But anyways, as I walked into the entrance of the courtyard, and here I'm also thinking, this is the part, like this brave part of me, because, especially in this day and age, a stranger talking to kids, and, especially if you're, wanting to talk to a whole class, and who are you, and what are you doing here, and what are your intentions, and blah, blah, blah. But I just knew I had to. I just knew I had to explain. And so, I just sort of stayed there. I stood at the entrance and was quiet. And the teacher, she acknowledged that I was there, and it seemed like it was okay. And then she, told the class that they can, take some time and, think and maybe write a note if they want to. And so in that space, it was just like the perfect kind of, merge, like this total perfect merge. Because that's when I started. And I just said, oh, hi. And I got the names wrong, and so the names were right, but I knew that this was the older class. And so I had said the name Jacob, and Jacob was the younger child. And so I said, oh, do you all, are you all the same class as Jacob? And they were like, it looked like they didn't quite understand what I was saying initially, because I think maybe they were confused if I knew that the boys had died, and I was just like, so there was a second initially where I sort of was like floundering, and then they're all so nice, and they helped me get on track. And so ultimately, what I came to understand was that these were Mark. These were his friends. And they knew Jacob as well. So if you remember what I was saying in I think it was the first video, Mark was a showman. He was very much about entertaining. He was, in the videos that I watched, he was, singing and, an Italian song, and with all the, the accents and the movements. And then another one, he's up on stage, jump roping, blindfolded, and this death-defying, just so fun. And then another one, he's just telling jokes left and right, like this stream of jokes. He was doing it for his dad, and he was probably practicing for, a talent show or something. Just like, so great, after each joke, it's like a bum, 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 or whatever, after he does the punchline or something. I mean, this child was, from what I understood, and he was also very advanced, there was a evolved and aware, the way that he was instructing his mom. Oh, it's 11:11, and the clock would 11:11, like he knew about portals and things, But what I gathered from him was that he was, like I said, it's like he lived a whole life in those 11 years. Like he was larger than life, and he was most likely the class entertainer. That's how his peers, when you're a child, school, is everything. That's your stage. This is how you figure out like who you are, and based on like people's reaction, and you can be whoever you want to be. And if you're getting support and people like what you do, then it sort of spurs you on to be more of that. And so when they confirmed to me that this was Mark's class. These were the people that knew him. Now, obviously, they're 12 now, and he, had died a year ago when he was 11. And the class was really nice. They were welcoming to me, as a stranger. They were welcoming to me. And so I began to tell them my story. I needed them to know that I understood why I was here. And I told them, I said, I am from Topanga. I didn't even know Mark and Jacob. I just saw that they were having this. I mean, I heard the story a year ago. But when I saw they were having this Angelversary, there was just something inside me that knew I had to be here. I didn't know why, and I was, worried about coming and this and that. And so I told them, basically, pretty quickly, about how, I told them different things that I brought, and I told them, how I watered, put water in the vases, and I brought all the flowers together, and I, told them about the autumn leaves, the beautiful, how I took those off the parking lot, and I, put them all around, that thing. And what I wanted I thought I was, but really I was doing. I was someone was guiding me. I didn't know who was guiding me. It was Mark Iskander guiding me because he wanted, while his classmates were remembering him, two things. He wanted to give them a show. He wanted to entertain them. He wanted them to feel that kind of magic that he naturally gave them, and they remembered. But when you hear about, it's like all that he had worked for in his life, it's hard to, when you think about those boys, probably from a peer level, it's hard probably to get past the accident, because that accident is a real fear wall, probably for themselves. And so when you think about, oh my God, that's probably one of the first memories that bubbles up for them and stays there, sits on top of their memory. And it's probably a very uncomfortable and sad memory for them to have. So what he did through me was not only did he remind them of that he was the showman, that he was the one. Remember, I'm the fun one. I'm the fun and games. I'm the, this is who he is. But the second thing was, I'm still here. I'm still here. Now, obviously, I don't know, what he's doing on the other side. Obviously, this kid is very evolved and very advanced to be, connecting with me. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even know. I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know what I was doing. So what is so the teacher let me say all this stuff. Like I'm telling the kids, he did this for you. He did this through me for you, his class, his peers. Because like I said, all that wasn't even together. The leaves and whatnot weren't even together. I hadn't even collected them 20 minutes before that. And so the fact that everything came together, everything was ready to go right before that class lined up to come in. Now what grabs me? There's two things that grab me. One is, okay, so if, people are thinking this is Mark Iskander, before this, he was tragically killed, but that's not what they're thinking now. I'm sure they were buzzing after I left that courtyard. And the teacher was really nice too. I could tell she wasn't freaked out by what I was saying. And the kids were, they were like you know, their eyes were wide, like they were understanding what I was saying too, you know. So the buzz of me making the connection, you know, that it was Mark Iskander that was doing this from beyond the veil for them. I mean, this kid, I'm hoping, will become a rock star, you know, in the memories that that school will hold. I hope his classmates, like, this will create a buzz throughout the school, you know. Oh my God, do you know what? You know, this woman told us, and that, like, he actually, that I love that. You know, I love that his memory now will be a continuation of, like, the entertainment, the song and dance, you know, guy that he was. And it'll be like, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Because I'm still doing it. And so it's like, if there's a part of them, you know, obviously, that is before all this, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, whenever I think about, you know, Mark and Jacob Iskander, I feel worried for my own life, you know, or I feel worried for my parents' life or whatever, you know. Hopefully that's like down on the food chain now. Hopefully, like, this, like, you know, surprise, you know, will give them that sense that not only for, you know, Mark was obviously the one that was behind it all. And, you know, the kids knew Jacob as well. But I feel very strongly that the reason all this came through was because of him. So it's like, not only is Mark still, like, he's not gone. He's not gone. He's still there, here, wherever. So you just remember that fact, that you know, spirit, that essence of Mark Iskander is just as strong, if not stronger, than what you remember. And the second thing is, I hope it helps them to be less afraid of death. You know, the fact that he's, you know, that is so, you know, that kind of a message just, you know, can only, I imagine, be wonderful. Just wonderful. You know, and especially, like I was saying, you know, that, you know, on Nextdoor and all that, there's so much sadness, you know. People remember, you know, and that it's the same thing with the adults too, you know, as I was sort of thinking, you know, as I was talking about, like, you know, as a parent especially, you know, you personalize it, and that makes you feel so much more connected, you know, in a grief way. But it's that heavy, and then, you know, obviously when I was talking about the unsettledness, you know, that it hasn't even gone to trial, you know, and so there's this another aspect of that tragedy that just seems to compound it. But when I left those kids, I got in my car and I was just like, wow, wow, you know, what a light, what a positive, happy, you know, joyful kind of celebration that he chose me. You know, I was, for whatever reason, I got to be this hero. I got to be the one, not only that did it, you know, got to do all this stuff and create all this stuff, but I got to tell them. I got to connect the pieces of it was him with it for his class. For his class. Oh my God, it was just so wonderful. And obviously, you know, that there's a bigger picture beyond, you know, him and his class and the legacy, hopefully now, the buzz, you know, that they'll take away from this, is that I hope that people do start to tap into these signs, you know, that you are being guided towards. And yes, you know, sometimes it means you've got to step out of your comfort zone. And sometimes it means you have to dramatically, not just step out of your comfort zone, but you have to confront fear in order to do it. But when you make that decision, when you commit to that, it just is like quick, and it's never the bad monster you think it is. And you emerge on the other side stronger and more powerful, more connected, and feel like your life has become more dreamlike. I'm still trying to process this. You know, last night, and especially even like sleeping, I wasn't sleeping very deeply, even though I was having really nice continuation dreams. But it's like there's a part of me that's just like, oh my God, what happened? I can't, you know, that's like the reveal. I didn't see that coming at all, you know? And like I had said, that when this tragedy all erupted a year ago, you know, it was national. It may have even been global. I don't know, because as I said, you know, the woman that was in the car is the wife of, you know, a big, huge, you know, prominent someone. And so that, you know, that created that sort of, you know, fascination, I guess, that a lot of people have. And so the idea that a story like this can, you know, the darkness and all that, whatever, you know, who gives a shit about that, you know? There's light. There is so much light, and the light is working, and it's so strong and powerful, and it wants to illuminate, you know, it wants to illuminate the darkness. It wants to bring a lightness, you know. And you know, yesterday, it just, as I'm driving home, you know, I'm just like, good winds, you know, good winds today. And you know, there was a part of me that when I was posting the videos, even though I couldn't, you know, I was just so tired, I was just so drained, and I live, you know, off the grid, and so just uploading those 2 videos onto YouTube was so slow, you know, and so time consuming. And I just knew I was just draining. I was just going so quickly. I had a half a glass of wine, and that was just like, you know, I couldn't even finish it. I was just like, I need to eat something. I need to go to bed. And so what I was hoping for was, I was hoping that on some level that those videos would leak out into like the local news, you know, because these kinds of stories, you know, the kinds of stories that make you feel connected, and like, you know, there's so much magic that is wielding, you know, through us, for us, you know, so much good in the world, even amidst the most tragic, heartbreaking circumstance. It's still very much alive, and you just have to tune into it. You just have to tune into it and allow, hopefully, the people that are bringing it into your lives as well. So, what a blessing this was for me. Tremendous, 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 tremendous. And that was also another, wonderful surprise too, that I didn't have to pay a terrible price. It was, or at least it wasn't something that was just like turned me inside out. Like, oh my God. It was just like, okay, I need to get off of this bench and I need to go tell those kids what he did for them. What he did for them. And I thought, oh, I could do this. I could do this. So, yay. Blessings to you all, most especially Nancy and Kareem. I know I don't know you, and I know there's, a part of me that was just like, felt like I didn't have enough energy, I didn't have enough time, and, maybe I should have sent this to you first, but if it felt like it was something that everybody needed, it felt like we're all one big family, and I just thought, I knew that this would get back to you quickly, and I knew that you would see it as well, and so I hope you see it as the gift that it's intended, all these videos, and I knew I had to, I knew I had to share it. It couldn't just leave with me. I couldn't have been the only one knowing. It's too big and too special, and